In the game of life, one important thing can increase your chance of success. Confidence. Confidence is the game changer.
Confidence! Where do I find that, Jose?
First rule, you need a goal.
I don't play soccer.
Nice color,
Right?
but not that kind of goal. What do you want from life?
Happiness.
Success.
Checkmate.
Less worries.
Next, you need a strategy.
I gotcha. Like a game plan.
Exactly. Put in the work and stick to it. Nothing pays better. Trust me.
No.
Then you need to be patient.
How patient?
More patient, success cannot be hurried. And most important of all, you need the right team behind you. Do all these things, and you will have the financial confidence to achieve anything.
Anything?
And everything, my friend.
Well, welcome to the Western Cape Teachers Forum, a platform where we educate, empower, and excel. We educate through dialogue and we empower ourselves with the knowledge that we gain through these conversations so that we can excel from our respective places and spaces we find ourselves. Now, it's a very, very lovely evening here in the Western Cape. I don't know where you're watching from tonight, but please give us a shout in our comment section where you're watching from and say hi to us. We've got some exciting guests tonight. And in the same vein, I want to wish all the teachers well during this assessment week as we're marking and getting those assessments concluded. And I know we can't wait for next week, Friday, when we conclude term 1. It's been a rough one for all of us for many reasons. I don't even want to talk to you about my experience for this term. It's been a disciplined, crazy term for me. I don't know what's happening in the atmosphere, but I hope that in your school, wherever you find yourself in your classroom, you are making sense of education at this time. We remain positive. We remain hopeful. Now, ladies and gentlemen, tonight's topic is an important one, especially in the face of rising cost of living, the petrol and food prices that are sky high. And I believe that the National Energy Regulator of South Africa has approved another hike in the electricity prices. And so for us, for you and me, the consumer, the man on the street, it becomes very difficult to respond to some of these challenges. And so to this end, we've partnered again with the largest insurance company on this continent of Africa, Sanlam, to teach us some financial wellness strategies as we as teachers, as education sector workers, as we respond to these trying times. Well, we've got once again Mr. Dinesh Pillay from Glacier by Sanlam. He is a business development manager, and he is once again joining us tonight to talk to us about financial wellness or your planning, your financial fitness. And so, Dinesh, welcome once again to the Western Cape Teachers Forum.
Good evening, Mr. Hoffmann. Thank you very much for the opportunity once again, and I'm happy to be here. And welcome to all the teachers in the Western Cape Teachers Forum for joining.
Well, thank you, sir. Listen, Dinesh, I'm going to keep my input to a minimum here. But before you take it away, I want to remind everybody watching tonight that we've got 4 very, very nice Woolies vouchers to give away, each to the value of 250 rands. So please stay tuned. Watch out for some of those key questions that we're going to post. And maybe, Dinesh, maybe let's share that with us now with them. The first couple of these are the 3 questions I want you to answer, and maybe take note of these. The first one is, how often should I review my will? I know we don't want to talk about that topic, but it's a necessary one. At some point, we need to face the dark prospects of talking about that. And then secondly, when should I start saving? And thirdly, the third question, what percent of South Africans enter retirement with debt? So these are the questions that you must watch out for, the answers rather. And at the end of the Nash's 10-minute presentation, we're going to revisit them and see which one of you have answered them correctly. And please share with us your insights and answers in the comment section, either on Facebook or YouTube, wherever you're watching from. Dinesh, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. going to share my presentation.
Sure. Right.
Just confirm if you can see that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, excellent. Once again, thank you very much. I'm going to go through this presentation, listen carefully, and I think we will be answering questions in the chat box or in the comment section. Today's topic is financial planning for life's events. Now, we need to be prepared for any curveball that is thrown towards us. Like we experienced, we never seen COVID coming. We were never prepared, but we had to adjust, and we all survived. And sadly, we have lost a lot of family members and friends. A lot of us have been vaccinated. Some of us chose not to be vaccinated. But here we are today, and we got to be prepared for the future life events. So in this topic today, and during my presentation, I will cover some of the most important life events that most people in South Africa are not really prepared for. You should be planning and make sure that you are prepared for every event that life throws you. This will give you some tips. Let's move ahead. The realities of post-retirement. Now, this is what happens to people that retire in South Africa. And this is research that was done by Sanlam. 51% of South Africans can't make ends meet. The cost of living is too expensive. Cost of food has gone up. As Mr. Hoffmann mentioned now, the electricity prices are going to go up by almost 9.5%. So as we're putting in more, some of us that have prepaid, as you buy a prepaid voucher, you find that you get less units. You start feeling the pinch that you're going to have to start buying more often. 33% of retirees don't have enough funds to make medical expenses or to meet medical expenses. I'm going to cover some of this in our topic today as well. That medical aid becomes so expensive as we get older. We need to make provision that we save enough to make sure we have the most appropriate medical aid to look after us during our lifetime. 61% of retirees who retire are unable to save for a rainy day. Now, even though you retire, it doesn't mean you must not save anymore. During retirement, you may have a bucket list of goals that you want to achieve and you want to complete before you leave this earth. And some of those goals are very expensive. So with your monthly pension that you receive, you need to take a small portion and save it away for those goals, those holidays, those excursions that you wish to take and wish to, and that you have a lot of time to achieve those goals and to make provision to make sure that you enjoy all those goals. But it comes at a cost, so make sure you save during retirement. But 61% of people are unable to save because the income they're receiving is not enough to get through the month. 33% of South Africans enter retirement with debt. Now, as we get older, we want to drive the bigger car, we want to extend our houses and live in bigger houses. But when we come to a certain age, could be 50, could be 45 also, it could even be 55 years of age. And at that ages, you need to make sure that all your debt is paid off. You shouldn't owe anyone any money. And every extra rand that you have, you need to save it to make sure that it covers the shortfalls that you will experience in retirement, that you will not be one of the 61% of people. You will not be one of the 33% who cannot afford appropriate medical aid. And then also you will not fall into the trap of being one of the 51% of South Africans who cannot make ends meet. But it all starts with paying off your debt. And do not fall into the trap of borrowing more money as you get older. 53% of retirees have to support adult dependent kids. Now, I really feel for people that are retiring and do have adult dependent children, because the decision making in terms of the retirement, post-retirement planning will have to be changed in such a way to accommodate your adult dependent kids. And adult dependent children do not come alone. They come with a spouse and they come with grandkids that become your responsibility as well. Now, we've seen companies closing down, retrenching people. In 2020, we've seen 2.2 million people being retrenched. In 2021, there was over 1.7 million people retrenched in South Africa. And we will continue seeing that in South Africa in 2022. However, it is difficult for retirees now to survive by also looking after these adult dependent kids. But you need to plan around those type of things as well. So as we move into retirement, all the young people on this platform, the moment you started working, you started saving towards retirement. Your first paycheck, there was a pension portion deducted and contributed towards a pension fund that you are a member of. And without knowing, this is exactly what happened when you joined your employment. In your contract you signed, there was a certain percentage that confirmed that you will now contribute towards retirement. Now, the ultimate goal is for you to work until the day you reach that retirement age. And if you're a teacher in South Africa, your employment retirement age is 65. However, the legal retirement age in South Africa is age 55. But because of your employment contract, the moment you reach age 65, you can no longer work beyond that unless you get employed as a contractor or on a different level, but you will not be a member of the pension fund anymore. You will then have to retire and get your gratuity and then receive a monthly income until the day you pass on. But remember, as I mentioned, retirement starts the moment you receive your first paycheck. There's a deduction. On your way towards retirement, there's a number of incidents that we will experience, a number of events that our family will experience. One of them is death. We do not know when we are going to die. Nobody knows when they are going to die. But we need to talk about this, is what happens if I died today? Who would settle your debts if you died immediately? Who would pay your children's education if you passed away? Have you planned adequately if you should die today? Life insurance and funeral cover are needed in order to make sure that you have appropriate plan to make sure that your family don't feel the pinch or the burden of your death. However, as I mentioned, on your way towards retirement, some of us will experience death early, as we've noticed with COVID and many other incidents as we lose people every day. Another incident will be critical illness. Are you covered for critical illness or an event that could cause disability? And you know, most people, before they become disabled, they first will experience a critical illness incident. And a critical illness incident would lead to disability. Most South Africans have disability cover only because it's cheaper than any other category of cover. Statistics show that most South Africans experience a critical illness or incident first before they experience a disability circumstances. Consider the overall wellness, your diet, your lifestyle, that will help you prevent these critical illness incidents like diabetes, cancers, and many other dreaded diseases that we see people experiencing today. But also get regular checkups. Make sure that you are well at all times. People that don't get checkups and when they're forced to go for a checkup, they find that they have many underlying conditions. Some of these conditions can be treated early and prevent getting worse sick. And in most cases, when people experience a critical illness incident or a disability and can no longer work, they actually leave work much earlier. And then they'll have to survive with a little pension or the money that they've saved much earlier than reaching the age of 65 or at retirement. Another incident in South Africa is retrenchment, as I mentioned. There is no such thing as job security and guaranteed employment, except within the public sector and government departments where no retrenchment and stuff like that takes place. But in the private sector, as I mentioned, 2 million or 2.2 million people lost their jobs in 2022. How would you protect your income if you lost your job? Are you covered for this eventuality? There are retrenchment covers and retrenchment benefits that are offered by your retail stores, your clothing account stores, your furniture account stores, and anywhere where you owe money, they have these type of covers that if you ever get retrenched, your debt will be paid off. On your way towards retirement, you also have your short-term goals. You may want to buy a car, you want to buy a house, you need to save up. These days, banks don't give you 100% loans. They'll give you a short-term loan. In fact, not a short-term loan, they'll give you a loan about 70%. You need to make up for the 30%. Who in these days have 30% of R1 million? If you're buying a house for R1 million, which in most cases you need 700, they'll borrow you 700,000, you need 300,000 Rand. If you haven't saved up 300,000 Rand, who is going to borrow you that money? So having these short-term savings plans in place will help you to achieve those goals and make those goals a reality. What are your short-term goals? Do you have a plan? Do you have goals? Have you sat down with your financial planner and put these goals in place? It's important to make sure that you do that. Long-term savings goals. You may have long-term dreams. You want to send your kids to university. You want to have your house paid off at a certain time. You want to save to go on a cruise or on an overseas holiday that will cover you a month or two away from work and away from everyone else. It costs a lot of money to travel. You want to go around the world. You have other financial savings goals in place to cover shortfalls, to make sure that you cover for medical aid during retirement. These are long-term goals. Put pen to paper and write down all your goals. Make sure that you cover these goals and you achieve them as you get older, as you reach retirement in life, even your short-term goals. Have you started saving for the future? When is the right time to save? The moment you earn your first paycheck. If you started saving back then, it will be much cheaper for you to save towards any goal that you wish to. The moment we leave our saving goals for later, you'll find it become more costly to save because we have achieved a lifestyle of borrowing more money to buy, things that we need or sometimes things we don't even need, and that puts us into a debt trap. Now, when you sit with your financial planner and he tells you, if you want to save 2 million rand over this term, it's going to cost you X amount, and you look at your budget and you say, I will not be able to save. That's when the cost of savings become too expensive and most people wouldn't want to save. So to the young people on this platform, if you don't have any debt, if you can practice putting 1/3 of your capital away and be disciplined at it, you can even put more than 1/3 if you can afford to, and continue doing that, make it 1/3 of your savings and a fixed expense. Over a 5-year period, you wouldn't believe how much money you've saved. Over a 10-year period, you'll be shocked at how much money you've accumulated. Now you started building wealth and creating more wealth for yourself, that your money start making money and start growing for you. And that's the realities of starting to save much earlier. The older you get and start saving later, the more expensive it becomes to start saving. Medical aid insurance is one of the most important benefits to have. Now, most of us, when we start working, we take up the medical aid benefits because it's compulsory in terms of employment contract. But with every medical aid, you have different options of medical aid to choose. And you have your Rolls Royces of medical aids, you have your BMWs, your Mercedes-Benz, your Toyotas, your Corsas, and all those type of things, which one of them are appropriate to you. So as young people, we get into the workforce, we join a medical aid, we take the most expensive Rolls Royce of medical aids, that in case of any illnesses, any operations, anything we need in terms of hospitalization, doctor's benefits, dentists, optometry, we are covered. So I learned later on in my life, after speaking to a very clued up financial planner, who taught me and said, Dinesh, you're a family of 4 people. You are spending so much money on medical aid. Are you guys a sickly family? And I looked at this financial planner and I wondered, why are you talking to me like this? What do you mean? He says, no, you are spending a lot of money on medical aid, but you guys look healthy. You look like you're quite dead. Okay. And then he started unpacking. He says, he asked me questions. Do you see a doctor more than 11 times a year? I said, no. He asked, are you on chronic medication? I said, no. He said, your wife? I said, no. He said, your children? I said, no. He said, why do you have the most expensive medical aid? The medical aid you have is for people that are really sickly and that needs all their benefits to be covered at all times. I said, okay, what do I do? He said, okay, take the most appropriate medical aid that will cover you for emergencies. So here you're paying almost 10,000 rand for medical aid. The solution that will suit you and your family, because you are not sickly, you don't go to doctors often. If you feel sick, you go to Discam and you get self-medication. So you're basically paying a lot of premium for your medical aid. He says, okay, take this hospital plan within your medical aid, and it will reduce your total premium by almost 50%. I said, okay. So he says, now, so I asked him, if I get sick and if I need to go to the doctor, if my kids get sick, he says, the doctor charges you 416 rand or 409 rand for a consultation. Now, we had a few jokes around it, and with time, maybe I could, but we'll get there. He says, when you'll be saving 50% of what you were paying towards your medical aid. So when you go to a doctor, to pull out 400 rand from your pocket and pay the doctor cash wouldn't be a big hole in your pocket, because now, provided that you are disciplined in what you do with the other 50%. So I said, okay, great. Take that 50%, put it away monthly. Over 10 months, I've created so much money already. And I don't think I'm going to use all that money within that year for any medical expenses. So you bank half of that money, save it. The rest you use it for a holiday or whatever it is. Then the following year, the exact same thing happened. Now, in case of emergency, if I have to be hospitalized or go for a medical procedure, everything in hospital will be covered. Medication, the doctors, the procedures, and I learned to save money. So that 5,000 of whatever extra I had, I started paying it into my bond and saving and paying my bond off. That's how you start creating wealth. So anyone that's on the platform today, if you want a medical aid, make sure you're on the most appropriate medical aid. Okay, do not waste money unnecessary, because where we need medical aid is as we get older, we should then be on the Rolls Royce of medical aids. The younger people who are fit and healthy, and you have all your dance moves in place, and you're fit, you don't need all this medical aid, this expensive medical aid benefits, but have the most appropriate one to look after you and your needs. Okay, as I mentioned that. In conclusion, your appropriate authorized financial planner would then do a financial needs analysis to make sure that you are covered for any one of these needs. Another very important need in this holistic financial plan of yours is the will. It's very important to have a will drafted. How can you have a will drafted? Contact your Sanlam financial planner or contact Sanlam and say, I would like to have a will. Sanlam has got some brilliant deals for the Department of Education and for all other public servants, where sometimes they don't even charge you for keeping your will. Most wills at certain organizations, you pay an annual fee to hold the will. You pay a fee up front to set up a will. With Sanlam, I think they waive most of these costs, and your financial planner and Sanlam will be able to confirm a lot of these details for you. Also, once you set up your will, make sure you review your will regularly. When is the most appropriate time to review your will? Any large event in your life that changes should allow you to review your will. You may win the lotto, you may create a little extra wealth, you might acquire new assets, more assets in value, then you need to update your will. Having a will in place will make it easy for your family to receive your benefits and your assets as per your wish. It wouldn't delay the time. It will allow you to go to the master of the court quickly and get your tax clearance from SARS, and your family will benefit from all the goals and wishes that you left behind for them. Okay? To everyone on this platform who is 55 years and older, congratulations if you've made it towards retirement. As I mentioned, not all of us are going to reach retirement, because we can experience any one of these incidents in life: death, critical illness, retrenchment, and we would not have enough money or reach retirement in order to enjoy those benefits. Okay, the aim is to retire with confidence. How can we make that happen for you? One of the most important things we need to know is inflation, the cost of living. We see everything around us going up: electricity, water, food prices. The price of petrol is going to go up almost 2 Rand next month from what I see. It's being published in newspapers these days. I mean, we're sitting on 21 Rand 60 per liter. When you fill up with 200 Rand, you get 9 liters of petrol. You wonder what happened, you know. But this is the cost of inflation. In 1970, some of you that were around would have bought a vehicle for 1,000 Rand. 10 years later, you would have bought only afford a motorbike. 10 years later, a bicycle. In 2010, you could have bought a running taxi for 1,000 Rand. These days, some of you are buying taxis for yourself and for your kids. It costs over 3,000 Rand. And if you come to Johannesburg, Sandton City, and you come to some of the boutique stores, you will find a pair of socks for over 1,000 Rand. I will always ask people, does that socks have a massaging mechanism in it or not? But inflation is it's put together like this. So when you're paying $15 for a $10 haircut, where you used to get it for $5. But you and I both know, as you go into a retail store, into a supermarket to buy bread and food stuff, we realize we are filling smaller trolleys these days because the cost is becoming too expensive. Life expectancy. Due to COVID, the life expectancy of South Africans has dropped by 3.5 years. The average female who used to retire at 68.4 years, who would retire at 55 or 57 years, would have lived to 68.5 years, would now live to 64.6 years. And the average male who would live to 62.4 years would now live to 59 years. And this will slightly improve as the death rate basically drops because people have been vaccinated. And we hope that this virus and COVID and all that goes away. Then a very important question, what does it mean to be rich? Now, the reason I chose this subject, or these two subjects about being rich or being wealthy, is just to help you identify. And this is something that we need to teach our children and our family members and our community as well. In today's terms, rich means having access to a lot of money or income. And in fact, rich means being able to spend a lot of that money. And today in South Africa, rich means having access to debt, credit. The banks give you credit. They give you a credit card, they give you overdraft, a housing allowance, or housing, in fact, a bond. Excuse me, they give you a bond, they give you car finance these days. How do you cover all that debt? How do you pay all that debt? You know, being rich today is being able to service your debt. But the scary part is those people that have been retrenched have realized that if you're only able to service your debt and you haven't made provisions to pay your debt off or to save enough to cover all your debt one day, everything comes crumbling down. And then the banks take away all these assets and you lose all these things if you are not adequately covered for retrenchment benefits and stuff. But today, we respect people that show that they have nice cars, they wear the best of clothes, they live the life of having all the material wealth, and we refer to that as being rich. So you ask people or children, what do you want to be when you're big? I want to be rich. I want to have all the nice things. But this is the reality of being rich. What does it mean to be wealthy? Being wealthy today is about amazing assets, making your money work for you. People that are wealthy will save this, people that are wealthy these days, when they started saving, they used to save at least at 1/3 of their salary and put it away. And it became a fixed expense until it grew into such a big asset that they could buy wealthier assets like houses and assets that will acquire in wealth and grow in more value. And that will start giving them more income. Wealthy people don't necessarily own the latest gadgets or the latest cars, or they don't even waste their money on unnecessary stuff. Their money work for them. A wealthy person can retire at the age of 40, the age of 50. Another thing about wealthy people, if you look at how much, by the age of 30, how much money you should have saved. By the age of 40, how much money you should have saved already. And by the age of 50 or 60, the reality is when you're at the age of 30 years old, and if you haven't saved at least 5 times your annual salary, you need to ask yourself some serious questions. By the time you reach the age of 40, you should have at least 8 times to 9 times your annual salary saved up already. And the time you reach 50, you should have more than 10 times or 12 times your annual salary. And the time you reach the age of 60, you should have at least 15 times your annual salary in order to retire comfortably. Now, you've got to go back to the drawing board. You've got to sit down with your financial planner. You need to review your goals, your short-term goals, your long-term goals, and you need to see where you are. If you're nowhere close to the numbers I've been talking about right now, you've got to ask yourself, are you rich or are you wealthy? Wealthy is when you have 6 months of savings that will cover you, for a few months should you lose your job or unable to work, if you had to go on unpaid leave and stuff like it. But this is the reality of being rich or being wealthy. So when I talk about the subject, and after I explain what does it mean to be rich and to be wealthy, because sometimes our eyes see the wrong things out there, and we want to be like other people that have all these things, but we don't know what people go through to pay for those type of things. You work hard for your money. Please do not waste it on things you don't need in order to impress people you don't like. Do you have a suspicious mind? Now, the reason I put this up here is because in the public sector, in government departments, in South Africa, we listen to a lot of rumors. So we've now developed this suspicious mind. And if you read this book by Rob Brotherton, you would get some understanding in terms of how we develop these suspicious minds about everything around us, and about our government, about our pension funds, about everything, the Zondo Commission, and everything else that goes around it creates us. And then we look at this last slide of mine, fake news and how we react to it. Be careful. I like this slide because it says, no, Dad, that's fake news. But how can it be fake news? It says exactly what I'm thinking. Has any of you been in this situation? Now, we as financial advisors, financial planners in Sanlam, we get a lot of questions that come out from our clients that are not true. And we need to find the actual facts to show our clients that what they are thinking is not exactly what is actually happening. For me, thank you for your time this evening, and to Mr. Hoffmann, I really appreciate the opportunity to be on your platform today, sir.
Wow, Dinesh, that is some good stuff, man. Good stuff. Yo, I can with confidence say now that I'm a rich man, eh? I'm a rich. I sat with my daughter always used to say, Daddy, but you rich. I say to her, but I don't have money to buy you something now. I said, why would you say that? No, because you're the
Yes.
principal. And I'm like, hey, yeah, my girl, if you only knew. But I think now you've cleared up that one for me. And the other thing that I want to, in fact, I've got a couple of questions here, but I'm going to bring in somebody that's been with us before. He is Mr. Sugar Hudsenberg. He went viral and continues to go viral for the right reasons. The man with the great moves. Muhammad Sugar, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Very happy to be here. I've learned quite a bit now.
Yeah, look, we decided to marry the. Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. We decided to marry the.
Perfect.
I can hear you loud and clear. We decided to marry the psychosocial wellness thing that you create with your dance moves and the energy that you share with the financial wellness. But I mean, before I've got a lot of questions, but I'm also thinking about time. But do you have anything for Dinesh on what you've just shared with us?
Dinesh, I mean, I have to say that you've literally given me quite some homework to do in terms of where it is I need to save on. I mean, you've raised quite a few points in terms of wills, in terms of how we need to look at regularly updating that when we do go through certain life events. And of course, creating or consolidating the idea of when it is important to save. Because I think it's very, we take for granted that we say we just put things off, we'll do it when we are more comfortable. But the thing is that we all want to be rich and we want to just enjoy things that we can't really afford. So I'm just commenting because I think these are the things that just create a sense of perspective in terms of how you've explained it, because you've done so well. And of course, the very huge expense of medical aid. I've always thought to myself, do I do it or should I just, because you want security, you want to feel that whenever you want to go to the doctor, I don't have cash in my pocket today, but I'm not considering the deduction at the end of the month. And I'm only thinking that, you know what, it's fine because I don't see it. The money is no longer there with me because I don't feel it. But in actual fact, the way you've explained it and you're putting it very much into perspective, when you accumulate and you work out all those amounts over a period of time, then you're actually shocked to notice that you are not actually visiting the doctor as frequent as you think in terms of what they want you to think. So I think I'm really, look, I'm as a teacher, experienced teacher, and one who's actually just enjoying and trying to kind of create a sense of positivity. You've literally shone a beautiful light in front of me to say, you've actually got to consider and you've got to plan your financial pathway in a way to utilize the services of a guy like yourself, Dinesh. But, so thank you so much for just creating that sense of perspective. Yeah, because you've been quite eloquent in explaining that. So it's very difficult to kind of like pull, you know what I mean? I don't know if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, and the people are very quiet in the live feed. I mean, we've got some Woolies vouchers, colleagues. We've got 250, not 4 or 3 vouchers to the value of 250 Rand each. So just answer us any one of those questions. The first question is, how often should I review my will? He spoke about it quite often, Dinesh. The second question is, when should you start saving as a employed person? And the last question that I want you to touch on is, what percentage of South Africans enter retirement with debt? Now, Dinesh, that is what I've seen so many, and I respect to the colleagues who've done that, who've taken the packages, right? They re-enter the system at some point. Do you have a comment to share on that one?
Sure. Thanks. That's a concern. We see that now, not only in education, but in all other government departments as well, and even the private sector as well. At a certain, and these mistakes happen a lot between the ages of 40 and 55, where people would want to, once you had a look at your benefit statement, you realize you've accumulated 1 million or 2 million there. You now find a reason to leave work to benefit from that large capital that you've saved there. And before you know it, that money has been finished in such a short time. And then you're back in the queue. Also, what do you do when you're at home? You can have as much money as you want. It's not going to keep you busy every day. You need to continue working to keep your mind fit. Mental fitness, physical fitness is very important. Also, the way you manage your money and where you put your money in as well is very important. You know, don't take your money out for the wrong reasons. People want to cash out a pension to build a house, to create an extension, to buy that double cab bucky, that Mercedes Benz, and you name it. It's the wrong thing to do. I see this where people will come back to me and say, I should have listened to you. Also, some people don't want to listen when you tell them there's tax implications. They said, okay, no, we'll talk about it after the money reaches my bank account. When the money hits your bank account, then it's too late to talk about it because you cannot reverse it because you never realize how much tax you're going to pay. The big winner here is the receiver of revenue. But at the end of the day, once this funds is in your bank account, you're going to spend it within 6 months. 1 million, 2 million can be finished.
So don't touch it.
I'm just thinking because you mentioned something about how to use your money more effectively. But now we find quite a lot of teachers, young teachers coming to the field and buying beautiful cars, etc. But you mentioned about the bond. How can a young teacher who just started out, how can that person capitalize in saving on interest over 20 years or 30 years? Can you maybe, I think a lot of viewers will be able to kind of appreciate that because, because you want to be qualified and you want to earn money, but how can you cut that cost?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, young people don't want to tie themselves down to property. So they don't want to invest into property immediately. They want to move around. They may not stay in the Western Cape. They want to come to live in Gauteng. But the trap they fall into is they buy a very expensive vehicle. And the vehicle and today's vehicles, if you notice, the vehicles are not sold at price value. They're sold over a term. And they sell it on affordability. They sell it on premium. You could buy a car for 12,000 Rand a month and you could enjoy a nice Ford Mustang, for example. And you can afford 12,000 Rand. Okay, fair enough. But is that 12,000 over 60 months, which is 5 years? Is it over 7 years? Or is it over, you can even finance a car for 10 years these days. And only when you're in the contract, you then realize that you're actually paying the car 2 times fold or 3 times fold, which is not, not the right thing to do. Plus the vehicle reduces its buying power because it reduces in value. But when you do invest in a property, let's assume you're young and you start working you start being a teacher at 23 or 24. You see all these new developments coming up in the Western Cape. You buy yourself an apartment. The apartment, you buy it off plan. You spend 600,000 or 700,000 on it. And in 3 or 4 years' time, you decide, okay, now you don't want to live there anymore. You want to upgrade. You now sell that property and the property value has grown over 10% per year. And now you're going to sell that property at over R1 million. So you're making about 300,000 Rand profit. And, where it is appreciated in value versus the vehicle that has depreciated. But now, you want to be on which side of the coin? You want to be on the wealthy side or do you want to be on the rich side? But when we fall into this trap, when we talk about young people respect you for what you have, for what you drive, because they can see that value. So they blow your ego and you fall into the trap of buying a new cell phone, a 20,000, 30,000 Rand cell phone, and you flash it, and people now want to follow you. But how much wealth have you accumulated? Everything you're paying for is depreciated. You're paying for something that doesn't really have that value. But now, if you've got property and your property is making money for you, you're basically acquiring wealth at a young age. Some wealthy people have got 10-fold properties. They can retire now at an early age, and the investments are now creating and growing for them and giving you income.
Yeah,
that's the whole part of being wealthy.
I want to be
live a balanced life. Don't starve yourself. Don't deprive yourself. Plan.
I want to be devil's. No, it's fine. I want to be a devil's advocate here. So there's this real threat of when I buy a couple of properties, I rent it out, and then there's this threat of my tenants not wanting to pay. And then I sit with a challenge. Somebody might be sitting with that concern.
No, true. So I'm not punting property, and I'm just giving property as an example. But there's many other assets you can put your money into to grow for you.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be property. Property can be one part of your portfolio. You could have unit trust investments. You could have an offshore portfolio. You could have people are going into cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and all these things these days. You can have a small percentage of your money there, but have a diversified investment portfolio. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, listen to that.
Please,
Just before you go, Shukar, I just wanted to check in. You know, this medical aid thing, right? I was sitting for a while now with this sort of temptation. Because I literally asked myself, how often do I use medical aid? Yes, I have the odd flu now and then, but the majority of times I go to the chemist and I self-medicate because firstly, the queues at the GP is too long, and secondly, I don't want to miss a day's work, and I was asking myself, you know, when I spoke to my wife, and my wife said, well, our kids are still young. And I can't believe that I actually contemplated that. And now you've gave me a different view to say, listen, look at the plans available, see if there's one that better suits your need. And that is what I'm going to start doing tomorrow.
Yes, so I agree with you. Take your benefit, the benefits that tell you all the different options you have, and look at the pricing of how much will it cost you. Look at what cover you get. Be disciplined now, right? Because it will give you the basic benefits like for an optometry and dentist and whatever, but you're not going to get 20, 30 visits. But also look at how much you're paying now. If you pay your full premiums for the year, calculate how much you paid for the entire year and ask yourself, have I used all this money in a year? If not, are they going to give you a refund in the following year? Does it create wealth? Is it money waiting for you there in the future? No, it's not. So you really need to ask some serious questions and be disciplined. Don't complain. And a lot of people complain about the medical aids, right? They're not happy. But it's also understanding which benefit you are in. Like I can't complain because if I'm going to go to a doctor, I'm going to pull out 400 and I'm going to pay.
Yeah.
And I'm not expecting my medical aid to pay. But when I go to a hospital, I know that everything in the hospital is going to be covered.
Yeah.
But as I get older, and now when I start seeing I've got a bit of this illness, a bit of debt, then I need to upgrade myself to a little bit of a more appropriate medical aid. But remember one thing as well, money is not everything. You need to also look after your health. So once a year, make sure that you go for that full medical to go check that everything is still working. It's like you sent your car for a service.
Absolutely.
Go yourself here as well. Go check the oil, 100%. Go check the plugs and check alles there.
Right. Shukar, you wanted to ask something?
No, I think it was just a comment in terms of your money should work for you and you should be able to get a return on your money. Whatever you have, you should be able to use it in such a way that you see it actually appreciate over time. And I think that's kind of what you eloquently pointed out in the way in which you have demonstrated that kind of the triangle. But the aspect of the will, young people, we think we're alive, we think we live forever. I mean, I can see, I'm not getting younger, but there are people out there who's not even considering the aspect of death and the preparation for that, for those who will be left behind. Touch on that quickly, because I think you made a very good point in terms of when do you actually review your will?
Yes, so I think starting off with the will, your will is your first point of starting your financial journey. You start acquiring assets. When you pass away, who would you like to leave these assets to? You need to be very clear on that. At the same time, you just spoke about young people. As young people, we are very risky. We take risks. We will do a somersault, a jump at the pool. We will do certain dance moves we're not supposed to be doing, Mr. Arsenberg. And we are likely to become critical ill or have a disability incident faster than an elderly person who was more cautious. That is why we need to be covered appropriately for these type of disabilities and illnesses, or even death as well. Because we jump in a vehicle, a sports car. We're the first guys that will put foot down, drive it at 200 to feel the Vuma in it. When the elderly person will cruise at 60 to 80 and enjoy the power of the vehicle. But the person that's going to go to 200, the risk of you dying is like this. So we don't think about it. And young people will say, but why do I need life cover? I'm not going to die now. They think only when you get older, you're going to die. But younger people take bigger risks. And you see that in school as well. Younger kids also. Parents are nowadays covering their children because incidents do happen in the schools as well. And then when it comes to wills, you start everything with a will. Who's going to get your diamond ring? Who's going to get your cell phone? Who's going to get your money that you have in your bank account? if you've got children, you need to make sure that your capital and your money is protected. You're not going to leave it for family members to enjoy the money on behalf of your kids. You're going to put that money in your will. You're going to write there that if I pass away, whatever wealth I've accumulated should go into a trust to protect the interest of my family. You know, these days, you cannot leave large amounts of cash for unemployed people, because unemployed people don't know how to manage large amounts of money. So you need to be very careful how you do that. You rather protect their future interest by locking it into a will and say, if my family needs food, give them food. If they need rates and taxes paid, pay the rates and taxes, the lights and water, all those expenses, education and stuff. Create intergenerational wealth with those type of benefits. And that is why a will will be the most important thing. Do not allow the government to distribute your assets, because if you don't have a will, the government will say who should get your stuff, when and how.
Yeah, guys, I see that. I mean, I still have so many questions here to ask, but I think we've fast spent our time here, and we have to give those 3 prizes away very quickly. I see we're hitting on 46 minutes already. Look, the questions were very quickly. How often should I review my will? The second question, when should I start saving? And the last question, what percentage of South Africans enter debt or retirement with debt? Now let's have a look at what our colleagues have said here. Firstly, Portia, Portia is from, welcome first of all, Portia, and thank you very much for fielding the things there in the comment section. Portia is from Sanlam, marketing manager. Portia, if you can just put your email address in the comment section there, because I want people to contact you directly with in respect of the prizes this evening. Florence said good evening. Hi, Florence. And there's a lot of people that said hi and hi. Hi, everybody. But I'm going to look for the first correct question to anyone, answer rather to any one of the questions. And I think I see, Rochelle, what are you saying here? Rochelle said, what did she say? Any large life event which alters your earnings, such as winning the lottery. The second one, she said, the moment you earn your first paycheck, and 33%. Dinesh, do you want to is she spot on? Or can we give her that 250 Woolies voucher?
Correct, 100%.
Well done, Rochelle Davids. Wow. Congratulations on winning the 250 Rand Woolworths voucher. So you've got a long weekend coming up. So spoil yourself and do not spend it on anyone else, not the children, not the husband, not the partner, on yourself. The next one, let's have a look quickly. Do I see another one? Let's see. Okay, this one. Amy Thea Bucas. Amy says, when any large chain or series of events happens in your life, B, when you start working, receive your first paycheck, and of course, C, 33%. Dinesh, just verify that one.
100% correct, sir. Well done,
Well
Amy.
done.
Congratulations.
Well done, Amy. Once again, wow. So Amy and who's the other one? Rochelle. Please watch out for Portia's email address. We're going to post it shortly, if not already, in the comment section. Oh, there, she's done it already. Okay, well done, Amy and Rochelle. And then I want to look for the last and third winner here. Who else can I pick here? Well, there's some. All right, Cheryl. Let's see. Cheryl Worship says, change your will after every large life event. Is that all Cheryl said? No, Cheryl, man, come on now. Dinesh, what do you think?
Cheryl answered, okay. You know what I've learned this evening is that teachers do listen, eh?
Okay. Yeah, they do listen.
Really
and
well. So listen here, let's give it to Cheryl.
Shall we give it to Cheryl? Man, there was another one here. We actually gave all three, but it's individually. But okay, Cheryl, let's give it to you. Dinesh has spoken, so I don't want to go against him. He's the big boss who gives us these nice prizes. Cheryl, thank you very much. Well done, colleagues. That's Cheryl Worship. That's Amy Bucas and Rochelle Davids. Please tell us where you guys are from, which areas, which schools, which institutions you represent. We'd like to make your acquaintance and get to know you, get into contact with you. And Portia, once again, thank you very much on your side for assisting and for fielding all the questions and comments there. I'm going to post the link once again in the comment section, ladies and gentlemen. This link will take you to a form, a very short form to complete. If you feel that you've benefited from this evening's conversation, or you'd like somebody to get into contact with you, just for a conversation, obligation-free conversation, please complete it, and one of Sanlam's very capable agents will get into contact with you. And of course, the more you use our link that we provide here, the more Sanlam is able to support and and the more sessions like these we can offer for you. And remember, this is a series of a number of financial wellness conversations. So we want to speak to these things. It's not just about the physical health, but finances are important. I think I've learned quite a lot this evening, especially on the issue of medical aid. I wanted to touch on this income protector, but I'm tempted, but I'm not going to go there. Let's reserve that for the next one. But Muhammad Ratzenberg, anything from you in closing, and then to Nash, and then we'll take this plane home.
No, Dinesh, no, thank you so much. I think you summed up beautifully. I've picked up quite a few things in terms of the savings, the will, and of course making money work, so that we can get the return over the longer period of time. So thank you so much for your time, and hope to chat to you soon. And remember, we said we're doing the South meeting the North soon, right?
Definitely. Thank you.
Very soon. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Dinesh, thank you very much once again. We hope to see you soon on the forum. I know we're going to benefit from your future engagements. And once again, thank you for partnering with the Western Cape Teachers Forum. And so, everybody, thank you for joining in. That's all from us tonight. We please watch out for Muhammad Shukr's video tomorrow. Maybe I must give them a sneak peek, Muhammad. Just have a look here. No, I don't want to spoil. I don't want to spoil the fun, and I'm not going to spoil the fun. So watch out tomorrow morning for that one. In contribution of Feel Good Friday. But from my household to yours, I wish you a blessed evening, and have a safe and blessed long weekend. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Today we make a promise to every man, every woman, and every child on this continent. A promise to do everything we can to give you a feeling of empowerment that comes with knowing you are in control of your life and that you can change the world.
Even me?
Yes, you. It's a promise to help you attain the kind of confidence that we believe can make a real difference in your life. Financial confidence.
What's that?
It's knowing that you can look after the ones you love and the things you own, and that you are prepared for the challenges that life may bring. It's the kind of confidence that opens doors and unlocks dreams. And whether you have a little or a lot, it can help you access limitless possibilities and reach new potential. That's why we'll never take our promise lightly. We'll keep it top of mind and close to our hearts. Everything we do, every decision we make will be guided by it. So that you can live knowing that today is going to be a good day. And tomorrow will be even better.